All right. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled Failing Liberals and Conservatives. There's definitions, so I'm going to start with the liberals. The first definition of liberal: open to new behavior or opinions and willing to discard traditional values. The other one, second definition, is of education, in parentheses, concerned mainly with broadening a person's general knowledge and experience rather than with technical or professional training. So we're going to go with that, okay? This is why I'm saying failing liberals and conservatives. Now, politically, it means a person who believes that government should be active in supporting social and political change. Now, this is why liberals are failing. Under definition number one, open to new behavior or opinions and willing to discard traditional values. You're willing you're open to new behaviors, opinions, and willing to discard traditional values that work. Then the things that don't work, you keep plugging away at it like it's gonna work when it's obviously not. That's problem number one. With the second definition, right? Concerned mainly with broadening a person's general knowledge and experience rather than with technical or professional training. Problem number two, why liberals are failing. Because, you want general knowledge and experience rather than technical or professional training. So you want to expand your horizons on things that might not bring any practical use to the world. This is just this over feeling thing, It's how I feel. How you feel is not going to fill your children's stomach at the end of the night, okay? The political definition: a person that believes the government should be active in supporting social and political change. Can't really get mad at that. That's what the government's supposed to be, right? But you got to couple that nowadays with the first definition. Because you want the government to support change that are against traditional values. Now, the problem with this is when you're against traditional values, we're at a stage in history where we can see the pros and cons of liberalism. And it's obvious the pros don't really outweigh the cons. Some of the breakdown of the family is for being liberal and getting away from traditional family values. Is from being liberal and breaking down traditional values as far as family concerns. That affects the economy and the government and society at large and our place in the global view of the country. The liberal ideologies that other countries use that are exactly the same as ours, we see those haven't worked either, and they become detrimental to society. So what are you really winning? Because all of this feel-goodery and all this choice and all of this general knowledge created a generation, 2, maybe 3, of participation trophy people who are really overly entitled, spoiled, not intelligent, don't take responsibility and accountability for anything. And ironically, by using the definition, right? How can I say this? Concerned mainly with broadening a person's general knowledge and experience. When you've got your broad spectrum of knowledge and experience and you see what doesn't work, you still stick to it like an idiot. This is why liberalism and being liberal is failing. You know, it's a problem. It is a definite problem. So let's go to the conservative definition. Conservatives, holding to traditional attitudes and values and cautious about change or innovation, typically in relation to politics or religion. Another one, a person who is adverse to change and holds to traditional values and attitudes, typically in relation to politics. Here's the problem with conservatives. This is why you guys fail. Because you're hypocrites. You see, capitalism and competition does not line up with conservative. Because this country is not built on competition and capitalism in the sense of the best will rise to the top. So what you're trying to, so on one end, you're telling people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And on the other end, you know, you're fighting the change and innovation of capitalism and competition. So you looked at as hypocrites and idiots. You know, politically, I know they got a political definition in here somewhere. Conservatism, basically. But let's see, this might be a better one. Of or relating to a philosophy of conservatism, be capitalized of or constituting a political party professing the principles of conservatism, such as or constituting advocating the support of established institutions. Progressive conservatism. Bunch of bullshit. Anyway, to conserve something, to save it, to be able to pass it along. Conservative fails like this. Conservatives took the dollar off the gold standard. Conservatives ruined the economy. You know, conservatives, ironically, who are against liberalism and the social change, conservatives are the guys on these benches breaking up families and helping these laws pass and stay passed that ruins traditional values. So at the same time, you conservatives are failing because you're not conservative. You're conservative if it pays you. But when it came to preserving American jobs, you were cool with outsourcing. That's not conservative. You know, now you want to fight against immigration. But that was part of outsourcing. So now you was cool when you felt like you could make money off of it. But now when it's time to compete, you don't want change. You want it to be how it was. This is the problem with the Make America Great Again slogan, you know, in a political sense. To make America great again, you would have to be conservative. When you've outsourced all of your work, you know, that makes sense in an industrial age. You've outsourced all your production. So we don't have an industrial age, more so a technology age. You've outsourced all the work. You're bringing in automation. How is this going to make the people great? Because America is about the people. So if you're robbing the people of the ability to be great, how is it going to make the country as a whole great? You didn't conserve greatness. You outsourced it to line your own pockets. So what actually are you conserving except for maybe oligarchy or the one percenters or wealth? What is that? And going back a little bit, you say liberals want the government to pay for everything. They're always out there with their hands out wanting big daddy government to pay for their bad mistakes. And on the other hand, big daddy government is bailing out the bankers and the whole financial districts. Big daddy government have to bail out industries. So if you own a business that can't compete because you're not competitive, and you can't change and evolve because you're a conservative, it's okay for the government to give you billion-dollar welfare because you've put yourself on a platform that you've ruined millions and billions and maybe even trillions of dollars. So you should get welfare for that type of epic failure. But if you fail in life as an individual, why do people have to use their hard-earned tax money to pay for this failure? See what I'm saying? That's a problem. That's a big problem. Liberals want everything without doing anything. That's why you failing. And conservatives want everything for messing up everything. So that's why both parties have pros and cons. Don't get it twisted. But the major part why both parties are failing is because both parties can't really admit that they're completely idiotic and impulsive when it comes to their base stance. They're hypocrites with their own base stance. Because if you're so liberal, right, and you should change everything, you shouldn't be dependent on the government when the change that you were liberal enough to go try to create in the world doesn't work. You should be liberal enough to figure out something else to offset that loss. But you ain't that liberal. You liberal enough to go mess something up. Mess something that was traditionally working up, but you ain't liberal enough to say, you know what? Well, I need to take responsibility for that. That's the personal responsibility argument. You know, on the other side of that, if you're a conservative, you know, because conservatives are basically tied to business, and when business can be an entity, you get out of the personal responsibility argument because your entity that you created is a screw up. You're a good person. No. Your entity is a representation of you. You're an epic failure because you epically failed with a whole entity. But I'm not personally responsible. I'm just the owner and the CEO. What about the CFO? What about the president, the vice president? You know, the managerial people, the workers involved? You know, the company as a whole, the brand. No, fool. But you got paid a golden parachute for being an epic failure. Are you going to give the money back? Why would I do that? This is capitalism. Maybe because as a conservative, you're conserving, you're not under the ideology that you get paid for being a screw up like you're a liberal. But hypocrisy. So that's why I say both of them are failing. You know, just in my opinion. You tell me what you think. We out.